The Leadoff Man is brought to you by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs, and by Culver's Frozen Custard and Butterburger Restaurants.
We greet you this afternoon from New Busch Stadium here in St. Louis, Missouri, a place the Cubs have played very well, winning the first 2 games of this 3-game weekend series. It's time for the Leadoff Man here on WGN Sports, and the Cubs go for the sweep today. And welcome to Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports. I'm Len Casper. Bob Brenly will be along here in a little while. Devastating news for the St. Louis Cardinals. For the first time in his major league career, Albert Pujols is going to the disabled list. And of course, that has grabbed all the headlines here in St. Louis. Yesterday, he had to leave the game. Did get an at-bat. He struck out actually for the 4th time in the first 2 games of this series. Went out, played defense. Going after this little short pop fly and foul ground, he grabbed his right side. It is a strained right oblique muscle. Tony La Russa said after the game yesterday, if it's only a 2-week injury, I'll buy you dinner the rest of the year. So Jim Edmonds took some ground balls at first base today. He's been bothered by a strained lower abdominal, but he told the Cardinals he's ready to go. So Jim Edmonds will make his 40th career start at first base.
The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
We're at New Busch Stadium here in St. Louis, Missouri for Chicago Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports. Game 3 today, and the Cubs have put together back-to-back wins, and they have a chance for a rare sweep here in St. Louis against the Cardinals. Hi again, everyone. Good afternoon, and along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs go for the sweep today. They've won 4 of their last.
What's this Nagafuki surprise?
If you can eat Nagafuki surprise, whole table get Bud Light.
Yes. I'm in.
Nagafuki surprise.
I've been to Japan. Can't surprise me.
8 Bud Light and 1 Nagafuki surprise.
Look at this. What's the big...
Surprise! Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Tastes kind of funny.
It lay eggs now.
Here's Dusty Baker's lineup, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Chicago Cubs. Pierre, Womack, and Barrett at the top. We talked about the big weekend for Michael, Walker, Ramirez, and Jones in the middle. Mertens, Cedeno, and Maddox. Ronnie Cedeno hitting .484 against the Cardinals this year.
Take a look at the Cardinals defensively. Timo Perez getting the start in left field. Taguchi in center. Encarnacion over in right field. Roland and Eckstein on the left side. Hector Luna getting a start at second base. Jim Edmonds, his 40th start in his career at first base. I'd like to see the Cubs bunt on him a little bit today. See how he handles things down there. Gary Bennett doing the catching today for right-hander Jason Marquis. Mentioned Marquis on a 4-game winning streak. See his numbers on the season. As I mentioned before, everything he does depends on the location of his fastball. He'll work it low and in, low and away, up and in, up and away. Try to hit all quadrants of that strike zone with the fastball to set up a curveball, a slider, an occasional straight changeup.
Adam Dowdy works the plate. A Streeter, Illinois native. Kellogg, Fletcher, and Riley around the bases. Well, the Cubs would like to make the Cardinal defense work. St. Louis with 5 errors in this series, including 3 in the 4th inning yesterday. And we're underway. A sinker for a strike from Marquis to Juan Pierre. Going back to last year, the Cubs again playing very well against the Cardinals, winning 15 of 21, 16-8 overall in 05 and 06. The wind and the 0-2, and that one missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Talking about Jason Marquis, he really is a guy who now uses that sinker, as you talked about. Well, before he just tried to throw that 4-seamer as fast as possible. As Pierre hits it foul. Well, we talked about Sidney Ponson the other night. A little bit more crafty than he used to be. Jason Marquis, a former Atlanta Brave.
He was one of the prize prospects in that Braves organization. Usually when teams go looking for pitching, the Braves are the first organization they go to looking to pluck some of those young arms. The Braves have had a great track record of drafting and developing young pitchers.
Pierre 0 for 4 yesterday, had 3 hits in that marathon affair Friday night, including the big double. Leading off the 14th inning, he scored the game-winning run. 2-2 pitch is hit in the air to center. And it's So Taguchi making the catch. Well, this is how it is for the Cardinals. You have to put an 8-time Gold Glover who normally plays center at first base. With Albert Pujols on the disabled list, like Derek Lee this year, for the first time in his career. So we will see how the Cardinals respond to their big guy being out. So obviously he'll miss at least 15 days, and it could be a lot more than that with a right oblique muscle strain.
Well, that's how quickly things change when you play against a team in a 3-game series and they lose their star player in the midst of the series. The guy you don't want to beat you now is probably Scott Rowland. With Jim Edmonds nursing that pulled abdominal muscle, you definitely want to test him, go right at him, see what he's capable of doing with the bat. So Scott Rowland becomes a guy that the Cubs are going to have to be very careful with today.
2-0 on former Cardinal Tony Womack, hitting .450 with the Cubs. Well, you worry about Rowland's offense if you're the Cubs. And from the Cardinals' perspective, a couple of very rare errors and big ones made by Scott Rowland in the first 2 games of this series as Womack draws the walk.
Yeah, it's been a very uncharacteristically shaky Cardinal defense in this series. On Friday night, the biggest error of the series went right through the wickets of perennial Gold Glove winner Scott Rowland down at third base, allowing a couple runs to score and tie up the game. Yesterday, David Eckstein air-mailed one to a fan sitting in the front row. Rowland just couldn't find the handle on that one, couldn't get an out anywhere. Jock Jones on his hit to center field, and the ball got real slippery for So Taguchi out there. He drops it. You just don't see Cardinal team make those kinds of errors, but they have been in this series.
Michael Barrett with 6 hits in the first 2 games of this set. 3 Friday, 3 yesterday. Average of .299. He's hitting .464 against the Cardinals this year.
Struck out only 7 times in his last 21 ball games, over 70 at bats.
Womack with his lead at first, not running, and that's a ball on Barrett. 2-0. Gary Bennett's going to walk out. Gary Bennett getting the start behind the plate today. We heard that he might have gone to the mound if the game Friday had gone to the 15th inning. He was the last guy off their bench, and in fact made the final out, struck out as a pinch hitter.
Yeah, no surprise. You can put a catcher anywhere on the field and they'll do a nice job.
Right. Well, Dave Duncan, a former catcher, they're a longtime pitching coach. Ryan Dempster got those final 3 outs. He would not have come back for the 15th inning. It would have been yesterday's starter, Glendon Rush. And if he had pitched Friday night, the Cubs would have had to make a roster move to bring in a starter yesterday. Luckily, it didn't come to that, and Rush got the win. Kerry Wood on the left will make his next start Tuesday night in Houston. Womack is on the move, and it's hit hard foul past first. And the reports on Mark Pryor very positive. 5 innings for Peoria against Fort Wayne last night. 43 strikes. Threw another 8 pitches in the bullpen afterward. 1 run, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts. Topped out at about 90. Found his breaking ball around the 3rd inning. Has not walked a batter in 2 starts for Peoria. Said he felt great and feels like he's pretty close. How many more starts? Well, that remains to be seen. 1 or 2 possibly before he's ready to come back. See if Womack's going to run again. And time called at the plate.
You know, in my experience, one thing you have to be careful of when bringing a guy back from the disabled list and from his rehab outings, obviously he's concentrated greatly on his mechanics and throwing off the mound, pitching in the games. You got to make sure the guy can get over and cover first base. He can run the bases if he should happen to get a hit or a walk, get on base somehow. All the other things that you kind of forget about when you're so anxious to bring a pitcher back on the mound.
Tony running again. The pitch is low. The throw gets into center, and Womack will head to third. I think a good throw gets him at second, but it was not a good throw. It went off the glove of Luna. So a stolen base, and there will be an error, the 6th error for the Cardinals in this series, and it's on the throw.
Yeah, Tony didn't get a great jump, and he took a peek back to home plate, but didn't need to. Gary Bennett just airmailed that ball into center field, and the Cubs have a runner at third base here in the first inning with only 1 out.
Yadier Molina getting the day off. Three-2 to Barrett, and he walks. The steal for Womack. Career stolen base number 363. His first as a Cub. Now a guy who had an unbelievable night Friday. Todd Walker went 0 for 7. He didn't strike out. And that was key because he hit that ground ball in the 9th inning that got under the legs of Scott Rowland. And then an RBI ground out, which was a game winner in the 14th. 0 for 7. And he knocked in the winning run. Well, it's not always about hits.
Not always about hits. You can even ground into some outs, hit some sac flies. There's a lot of different ways to score those runners from third base. And the Cardinals have been very cooperative with their errors at costly times in this series.
Inside. 1-1. Got an email from Ed Hardig, the Cubs unofficial team historian. And over the last 50 years, no Cub had ever gone 0 for 7 while recording an RBI. Andre Dawson in '92 here in St. Louis went 0 for 6 and knocked in a run. It was not the game winner. In the dirt.
Well, you love to see the patience from the Cubs hitters, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they played much better ball lately as they put together more and more patient at bats, force that opposing pitcher to throw a lot of pitches, give him opportunities to make mistakes.
First and third with only 1 out. Kick and the offering. Took it again. 3-1. With a guy who hit a grand slam yesterday on deck. It was off Mark Mulder. Very quiet here in this ballpark. 3-1 pitch. They are loaded. 3 straight walks. Well, maybe this will happen again.
Maybe see lightning strike twice here at New Busch Stadium. It's good to see Aramis Ramirez going the opposite way. We know he has that kind of power to hit the ball out to any part of the ballpark. Occasionally he gets a little pull crazy, and apparently Dusty had called that home run because as soon as it landed in the bleachers out there in right center, he looked back to the guys on the bench and they all jumped up laughing. You know, every time a guy goes to the plate that has the potential to hit home runs, somebody on the bench says, I feel it. I think he's going to hit one right here. So somebody's always going to be right if a guy goes deep.
Well, maybe Carlos is calling it. Bases loaded, 1 out. Ball 1.
I mentioned Marquis, everything he does works off his ability to command his fastball, and so far he does not have the command of that pitch.
No hits in the inning. 3 walks, a stolen base, and an error. The pitch. 2-0. Well, this is how you draw it up if you're Dusty. Bases loaded for Ramirez and a 2-0 count. Tied for the team lead with Jock Jones, 10 home runs and 29 RBIs. Marquis has thrown 23 pitches and has found the strike zone just 7 times. Here he comes again, and Ramirez finds center field. A run in. Cubs lead. They go station to station as Womack crosses the plate. 30th RBI for Ramirez. Keep the line moving.
Looked like Aramis got jammed a little bit with that pitch, but we know he's strong enough to muscle it out there into shallow center field. Sinker down and in, gets just a little down on the trademark, but a floating line drive into shallow center field. Michael Barrett had to hold up momentarily at second base to make sure that ball got down. Marquis watching the flight of that base hit into center field and backing up home plate. You love to see those pitchers backing up bases.
Now Jock Jones, 6 for 9 in the series. Slices it foul out of play.
No surprise Jock Jones attacking that first pitch. He's a .652 hitter on the season when he puts that first pitch in play. That time fouled it down the third base line.
He's up to 301 on the year. Well, he needs to knock in at least 1 to get back into the team lead. Ramirez just passed him. A pitch, and rather Jones is in a hole. 0-2.
That's Jason Marquis' version of the Greg Maddux comeback sinker on the inside corner. Gary Bennett may have made that pitch look a little better than it really was. That's where a lot of teams like to attack Jock Jones, down and in.
And the 0-2, similar spot, but it missed. 1-2. A lot of pitches for Marquis, 27 here in the first inning, and he's recorded only 1 out. Here he comes again. Another one in tight.
It's good to see Jock lay off that pitch. That's a pitch that he has chased a lot throughout the early going this season. That little cut fastball, small slider that they start over the inside part of the plate and break it down and in. Good to see him lay off that pitch.
He's locked in right now, hitting .347 in his last 32 games. Two the count with the bases loaded, 1 out. Here's a pitch. Jones strikes out. So it'll be up to Matt Merton. By the way, I said earlier, Tony Womack with his first steal as a Cub. We got some emails, our great viewers pointing out that it's not his first as a Cub, but I guess it would be his first in 06 as a Cub. He was here in 2003. Sorry, Tony.
We knew what you meant.
Pitch to Merton. Swung on and missed. And Tony had 2 with a Cub back in 21 games in 03. One and one on Merton. He's just 2 for 23 against his St. Louis club here this year. Cubs would like to get more, not let Marquis off the hook here. They do have one, but they had him loaded with 1 out. And a 1-hopper to Hector Luna. He'll get the out. And Marquis relatively unscathed. He gives up 1, but the Cubs strand 3. Greg Maddux to the mound. Well, something's missing from the Cardinal lineup. That's Albert Pujols. He's on the DL. Eckstein, Taguchi, Roland, Edmonds back in the lineup, but he's playing first. Encarnacion, Timo Perez in left, Bennett, Luna, and Marquis at the bottom.
Take a look at the Cubs defensively, brought to you by Pepsi. Merton, Pierre, and Jones once again across the outfield. Ramirez and Cedeno on the left side. Tony Womack back at second base today. Todd Walker over first. Michael Barrett will be doing the catching for Greg Maddux. Mentioned earlier, a perfect 2-0 with an 0.68 ERA against the Cardinals this season.
25 career wins against the Cardinals. Tied for second in Major League history with those 25 wins. Steve Carlton with 38. Maddux tied with Tom Seaver with 25 wins against the Cardinals. David Eckstein leads it off. Strike 1. Leading the National League with 72 hits and 24 multi-hit games, snagged by Maddux. We saw him do that a few times his last start. Can't get it by him.
It's not an accident either. Greg Maddux knows if he executes his pitches, especially to the right-handed hitters with that sinker away, they're going to hit ground balls back up the middle of the field. He's always ready to field his position. He anticipates that ball coming back through the middle of the field and makes that play as good as any pitcher in baseball.
I think his athleticism is underrated. He's not a physical specimen, 6 feet, 180 pounds. Has downplayed the physical workout regimen that he took part in over the offseason. He doesn't like to get into all the stuff he does off the field. But you don't win 15 Gold Gloves if you're not a really good athlete and have good hands and good instincts and all those things.
Good anticipation.
Yep.
That'd be a good lesson for any defender, no matter what position you play on the field. Expect every ball to be hit to you.
Well, it was a Sunday afternoon back in April. The Cubs needed to avoid the sweep with a win, and they did as Maddux beat Marquis. That was on April 23rd. 7-3 Cubs victory.
This is going to be one of those days, Len. You know, one of my pet peeves is the sunglasses that you put up on top of your hat when it's cloudy and then you put them back on when the sun's out. Well, it's going to be that kind of a day.
No swing, and it's a walk with 1 out.
I'm a big fan of the old-fashioned flip-down sunglasses because that way you can control whether you have the shade on your eyes or not. There you see Ronnie Cedeno. If during the course of this at bat, if there's a ball hit in the air and the sun happens to peek from behind a cloud as that ball's in the air, well, what do you do then? Well, Juan Pierre will be prepared if that does happen. He's got the old school flip downs on.
And we've talked about it before. There are some guys who on a day like this they'll wear the shades all day just to stay consistent. Taguchi is running. Here's a throw by Barrett, and he is in. And for the first time in the last 10 games, an opposing team with a stolen base against the Cubs. They have allowed 49 overall on the year, most in the majors, but it had been a while.
Well, this is all on Greg Maddux right here. Taguchi just took off on first movement by Maddux, got a great jump. The old-fashioned hook slide to the inside of the field, reaching that right foot out there, catching the bag, trying to keep the rest of his body away from a possible tag by Tony Womack.
Roland drives one the other way. It is slicing, however, out of play, and it'll drop untouched.
Well, then you talked about Albert Pujols and the fact that he had struck out 4 times in the first 2 games of the series before the injury at first base. And I'm not so sure, maybe he wasn't feeling some of that in some of those at bats. I mean, very uncharacteristic Albert Pujols, swinging right through fastballs down the middle of the plate, being overpowered at times by fastballs up in the zone. Just didn't look like the same swing that we've seen from Albert throughout the early part of the season.
Another foul by Roland. Well, 1 for 7 in the series before he got hurt with those 4 strikeouts. And Pujols hitting just over 170 against the Cubs this year. Greg beat the Reds his last start. Had about an hour rain delay in the middle. Eventually came back, pitched into the 6th. Had to leave with 2 outs because of back and leg stiffness resulting from the rain delay and having to get loose a couple of times. Unable to go here on normal rest. He was supposed to pitch tomorrow night in Houston, but Kerry Wood pushed back 2 days. Maddox and Zambrano both moved up a day. The off day last Thursday helped. Roland into right center, and Pierre will have to chase it down as the Cardinals tie it. It'll be a double for Roland. Came up with a big hit Friday night. Ties the game in the first inning today, batting 3rd for Pujols. That big spot.
Scott Rolen, a .295 lifetime hitter against Greg Maddox, and I think the reason he's had the success he had, we saw it throughout this at bat. Rolen trying to go the opposite way with every pitch he saw, and finally gets one to his liking and drives it into that gap. Boy, hitters try to pull Greg Maddox. You're playing right into his hands. Rolen that time obviously trying to go the opposite way the entire at bat.
Well, Jim Edmonds with his first start in 8 games, and he's playing at first base. Strain of his abdominal wall had kept him out of the lineup for about a week. Well, we thought he was going to go to the DL a couple of days ago, but they kept him active. And I think hindsight's 20/20, but the guess here would be if you went back and told Tony La Russa at about 3 o'clock on Friday, your team's going to go 14 innings tonight, I bet they would have put him on the DL because they were in a tight spot with Scott Spezio out due to illness. Edmonds under the weather with the abdominal strain.
Yeah, a lot of criticism in the local papers of Tony La Russa and the Cardinals for playing a couple of men down in this series. You mentioned Spezio hasn't even been at the ballpark. Edmonds, we weren't sure of his availability. As you mentioned, we thought he was going to go on the disabled list yesterday.
Greg's 1-2 pitch is inside. Well, why can he play first and not center? I guess it really only bothers him when he runs. Chris Carpenter's scheduled to come off the DL on Tuesday, an upper back injury for last year's Cy Young winner. And hearing that running is the issue, I mean, even if Edmonds gets on base, he might be like Barry Bonds. Might not see him go first to third very much today. The Cubs hope he doesn't even get to first.
That's why I mentioned during the lineups, I think it would behoove the Cubs to bunt his direction a couple times a day. Just see what physically he is capable of doing down there at first base.
Decision pitch here, and Edmonds will reach on the walk. Second walk of the inning. comes Juan Encarnacion. The Cardinals have replaced Pujols on their active roster with Chris Duncan, who can play first and the outfield. He's the son of their pitching coach, Dave Duncan. One ball, no strikes on Encarnacion. So I guess that extra weight Chris would put on his bat in the on-deck circle would be a Dunkin' Donut. Line shot over the head of Merton in left. Rolen is in. Edmonds does go first to third. He didn't have to run hard at all. The ball was smoked by Encarnacion.
This looks like somebody's drive on a golf course. Down and through the ball, got great backspin. Matt Merton froze in his tracks out there in left field. That ball just accelerated, took off right over his head. Just a scalded line drive. One hops the wall out there in left field. And watching Jim Edmonds go first to third, that was a real labor. He wasn't really extending much at all, conceding that he wasn't going to get any further than third base and content to just jog around second and on into third.
Now it's Timo Perez getting his first start with the Cardinals. Was selected from AAA Memphis on Friday by a pitch actually off the helmet on a breaking ball in his first plate appearance. Boy, that was an interesting looking swing.
Hit or be hit.
Yeah.
Ball running up and in, and Perez had already committed to it. Catches him about 2 inches above his hands and fouls it harmlessly behind home plate.
You had no idea where the ball was. Low and inside. 2-1 Cardinals, second and third, one out.
You know, because of Edmonds' limited running ability over there at third base, you may have noticed Jose Oquendo warning Juan Encarnacion at second base on a fly ball to the outfield. Make sure you watch Jim Edmonds, because he may not be able to score on a routine fly ball to the outfield, and Oquendo wanted to alert Encarnacion not to run him off third base.
Two. Both starters throwing a lot of pitches here in the first inning. Maddox up to 25. Oh, what a snag by Todd Walker. And the throw to second. They have Encarnacion caught up, but they try to get Edmonds. They can't do it. Now here's the problem. Cedeno had Encarnacion caught up between second and third, but the Cubs knew if they had tagged him out that the run would have counted. But the second part of the problem is if you throw home, you better get Edmonds, and they couldn't. And now the inning continues.
Ball hit like a rocket down to first base. Nice pick by Todd Walker. Quickly gets that out. He sees Encarnacion off second base. That's the real key to the play right there. The off balance throw to the plate. I mean, perhaps Todd Walker could fake a throw to second base and try to get Edmonds to come down that line, but there's no guarantee he's going to try to score on that play.
That's 3-1.
But the off balance throw couldn't get much on from Ronnie Cedeno. Bounced it on the first base side to Michael Barrett, and Edmonds gets in safely.
So Bennett bats with Encarnacion 90 feet away.
Well, that just illustrates what I just said during the course of Timo Perez's at bat. Jose Oquendo warned Juan Encarnacion, watch the runner ahead of you. And as soon as the ball was hit into play, Encarnacion was off and running.
Ramirez fields, pops it in the mitt, and then gets it over to Walker to end the inning. Each team with runs in the first inning. The Cubs with 1, the Cardinals with 3. Juan Encarnacion with one of the Cardinals' 2 RBI doubles. 3-1 here in the second. Well, we can talk to Chris Spire after the ball game. What do you think he's going to tell Ronnie? Do you just stay in that rundown? He kind of got caught in no man's land and really didn't have a shot at Edmonds at the plate.
I think more than anything else, it was just good base running by Jim Edmonds. You know, he kind of anticipated the play. He saw that Todd Walker was going to throw to second base and just timed his break for home plate perfectly.
Or maybe do you go back to the Walker play? Does Todd maybe run at Encarnacion and then take a quick look at Edmonds?
Well, it was a long throw, no question. Todd was throwing from the bag all the way from first to second base.
Ronnie goes the other way, but it'll be run down by Encarnacion.
Certainly in hindsight, the right thing to do would be, as you said, run at the runner at second base, or the runner caught between second and third. Walker immediately gives up the ball without checking the runner at third, and by the time Ronnie unloads that off-balance throw, there's no play at the plate. I think perhaps the key to the whole play was Todd Walker not checking the runner at third base before throwing on to second. See Edmonds on this play. He freezes initially, starts back to third. When he sees that throw go to second base, he accelerates as much as he can. That wasn't very quick getting down that third base line, but the off-balance throw was not in time.
So they steal an extra run in that first inning. Well, both starters trying to settle down here in the second inning. Curveball, strikeout. Don't forget to check out our WGN Baseball blog, brought to you by the aforementioned Dunkin' Donuts. On the blog today, I have a post about Kerry Wood getting pushed back a couple of days. Game notes from our friends at Stats Inc. And don't forget to look for our podcast link on the blog as well. WGNTV.com. Click on Len and Bob's blog. Thank you, Dunkin' Donuts. There was also a note about the other night, a 14-inning, 5-hour, 4-minute affair. And I happened to, in a moment of delirium, mention that I hadn't actually left the booth during the game, which is not a big deal for most, but I usually have to make at least one trip to the facilities during a ball game. I usually sip water. So our executive producer Bob Vorwald emailed me today, is the streak going to continue? And I have to fess up, the streak is already over. At the end of the first inning, that was it. That's how long I lasted today. About 25 minutes.
Start another streak over there, Cal. You'll be all right.
Derek Lee would like to start another games played streak. He's still going to be out a few more weeks, but he did take ground balls yesterday for the first time since getting the cast off in the middle of the week. Pierre reaches on the free pass. That's 4 walks issued by Marquis.
That's as many walks as he had in any game this season. That was his previous high. 2 different ball games. He walked 4 batters in a game. He's walked 4 already here in the first 2 innings.
So it's Womack with 2 down and Pierre at first. Rolling in on the grass at third. Marquis steps off. He needs a few moments. Is he going to walk out to second base?
Drop a delay of game flag on him here. He did. He walked halfway out to second base. I'm wondering if he's not quite on the same page with Gary Bennett behind home plate. He's shaken off a lot of signs already in the early going today.
In the dirt.
You know, so much is made about the Cardinals and their coaching staff and the way they prepare a team for a series, and I asked Gary Bennett about it on Friday because this is a guy that's been around with a few different ball clubs: the Phillies, the Mets, the Rockies, the Padres, the Brewers, the Nationals last year. And he said the Cardinals really don't do anything too different than he's done at any other of his stops in the major leagues. He says if anything, they rely on videotape a little bit more than some of the other teams did, but he said their advanced meetings are really not much different than meetings that he's had with other organizations.
(2-0) on Womack, as Marquis still tries to find it. 27 balls, only 19 strikes early on. Pierre is running. That pitch missed, and Pierre is out. That's too bad because it would have been 3-0 on Tony Womack, but Pierre called out at second base by Andy Fletcher. 3-1 Cardinals. Gary Bennett nailed Juan Pierre, really helped out his pitcher, who was working behind in the count. Hector Luna leads off the second for St. Louis. Batting eighth in front of last year's Silver Slugger winner, Jason Marquis. Well, you hate to ever criticize Juan Pierre for being aggressive. However, Marquis was really struggling with his command. And the other thing is, when Pierre runs, you assume most of the time he's going to be safe, but not that time.
And we saw Gary Bennett make a bad throw on Tony Womack's stolen base back in the first inning, but that time he put it right on the money.
Hit hard, but Cedeno was there, went down on his knees, got up, and fired a strike to Todd Walker.
Yeah, we know Juan has the green light in all situations, but this may have been a time to put the red line on. He doesn't get a good jump over there at first base. Took a peek back. I mean, just about everything you could possibly do to slow down a stolen base attempt, and Bennett makes a good throw to David Eckstein, who gets down a nice quick tag just ahead of the sliding Juan Pierre. Now, sometimes you just have to give that pitcher an opportunity to pitch himself into trouble.
Well, that's off Maddox. We hope he's okay. Looks like he is, and he throws out Marquis. I don't think he even got a glove on it. He says, I'm fine.
He's waving off everybody.
The ball was blistered.
What a piece of work. Look, it got him somewhere on the left leg. He tried to wave that glove down there and knock it down. Look, maybe on the left hip somewhere. Fortunately for Maddox, the ball drops right down in front where he can retrieve it and throw on to first to get the out.
You know, I was reading yesterday about a pitcher, I think it was a Houston Astro, who had talked about not wearing his protective cup. And he mentioned something about having quick hands.
Ooh.
But I don't know about that one. You can have the quickest hands in the world, but that ball can come back at you a lot faster than you've thrown it.
Well, it doesn't even have to come back fast. I mean, an odd bounce out there off the front of the pitcher's mound. Ouch.
Eckstein is out, 5 in a row, retired by Greg Maddux. 3-1. Now, Greg Maddux talking with assistant trainer Ed Halper about, I think, where that ball got him. But the key was Maddux was able to make the play. And of course, he's fine. Outside on Tony Womack. Walked and scored the only Cub run back in the first. Cubs have won 4 of 5. Right now they're 11.5 out. And 5th in the division. A win today would mean they picked up 3 full games on the Cardinals this weekend. It's a long road back. Dusty knows it. We've talked about, as you said, a series of 1-game winning streaks. Long run for Taguchi, won't get there until it bounces off the grass, and Womack is on with a leadoff single. Top of the hour. Let's pause briefly for station ID.
This is America's home for sports all year round. Superstation WGN.
Great to have you with us as always today. Bob Brenly, Len Casper, and our WGN Sports crew. Our WGN Traveling Roadshow, as it has been dubbed by someone other than me. Michael Barrett, the hitter, in the dirt. Well, you take away the hit by Womack. Marquis went 3-0 on him before Pierre was caught stealing. Pierre had walked. Tony was 2-0 to start the at bat here in the 3rd inning, and now it's 1-0 on Barrett. That strike zone has been very elusive at the knees. 1-1.
You know, and there have been times throughout the early part of this season where I have pointed out the fact that the shrinking strike zone was more a result of the home plate umpire than the pitcher's command, but that's not the case today. I think Adam Dowdy's called a very fair strike zone for both pitchers. It's just that Marquis had trouble finding it. Now, there's definitely some miscommunication going on between Marquis and Bennett. They hooked up after the last half inning when they were back in the dugout there and exchanged a long conversation with Dave Duncan, which is kind of surprising. I mean, Gary Bennett's a veteran guy. He's known for his pitch calling ability, his blocking, his throwing. That's most of the time what you want from your backup catcher.
Nice job by Barrett as he rolls it into right. 2 men on with nobody out. 7th hit of the series for Barrett.
Boy, and that's just smart hitting right there on the part of Michael Barrett. Very reminiscent of the mid-'80s Cubs teams when Jody Davis used to find that hole on the right side and hit a 99 hopper through. It wouldn't even roll all the way to the right fielder. Fastball down and out over the plate, stays right down on it, going to right field the whole way. That's where the hole was.
Walker walked in the 1st. He drives this one down the left field line toward the corner, but foul.
Still trying to figure out the wind currents here at New Busch Stadium. I talked to Hal McRae on Friday night, the hitting coach for the Cardinals, and he seems to feel that the wind most of the time blows in from right field or at least across from right to left. He said the ball doesn't carry real well to straightaway right field, but from the gap in right center around to the left field line, the ball jumps pretty good.
Marquis with the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. The strikeout to walk ratio going in is a little alarming for Marquis. 27 strikeouts, 26 walks, basically 1-1. And Walker rips one into right. Womack's going to come around, and he will score. 3-2. Barrett at 3rd. To Todd snaps in 0 for 11.
Boy, good aggressive swing by Todd Walker right here. Fastball outer 3rd of the plate, hooks it back into right field. Encarnacion has to go far to his left to get to that ball. Tony Womack's going to score easily. Good read by Michael Barrett to go 1st to 3rd with no problem. Well, we talked about Tony Womack when the Cubs first re-signed him. That's one thing you can count on, is effort from Tony Womack. He never dogs it on the bases.
Ramirez with an RBI single in the 1st, hit a grand slam yesterday.
You may have noticed the raindrop marks on Todd Walker's jersey there. It has been spitting a little bit of rain from time to time. Dry right now.
Back of third, Eckstein charging hard. He'll lay out. He can't get it. Barrett scores. Tie game. 4 straight hits to start the third inning, and it's 3-3. Boy, they're starting to drop for the Cubs. But you know what? You make your own luck.
You really do. I mean, for the Cardinal fans, the good news is Jason Marquis throwing strikes. The bad news is Cubs are hitting them all over the field. They're not hitting them with a lot of authority, but as you said, they're getting some balls to start dropping. Dusty said it after the ball game last night. He felt that the worm had turned. Some of the breaks are starting to go the way of the Cubs.
And still no outs. 3-3. And a hot Jock Jones at the plate, even though he did strike out. His first time up today. 6 for 10 in the set. A double, a home run, a walk, an RBI, 2 runs this weekend.
And Jones did strike out on a pitch down and in his first at bat of this ball game. You see Marquis going right back to that spot with the first pitch of this sequence.
And that 1-0 is hit very well. Taguchi won't be able to get it. It'll one hop over the fence, so that'll be an automatic double, which allows Walker to score. Ramirez has to hold at third. It's 4-3. And they are jumping all over Jason Marquis, and he's going to get a visit from the pitching coach.
Well, this is why they tried to crowd Jock Jones. When they throw a pitch out over the plate, that's when Jock can get extension and drive that ball to all parts of the ballpark. Unfortunately, it bounces up into the stands. I think if that ball had hit the fence and stayed in play, Ramirez would have scored as well. You saw Walker hold up between second and third. Ramirez was on second base when that ball landed on the warning track. Probably had a chance to score as well.
Watch Cub games live online whenever you are away from Chicago, exclusively from MLB.tv. Cubs.com has more live games on the internet than anywhere else. Cubs.com, where baseball is always on. Big third inning. Talked about Michael Barrett, Jock Jones, and the open today, and they've come up big already. Well, let's see. The corner men are in. Luna's in about halfway. Eckstein is back at short. A pitch to Merton. 1-1. Cubs have not swept the Cardinals here in a 3-game series since June 10th through the 12th of 1988. It's been 18 years. Matt chased a bad pitch.
Same pitch Matt Merton chased his first at bat of this ball game. The first pitch he saw in the ball game from Jason Marquis, a breaking ball off the plate down low and away.
And a 1-2. It's even.
We talk about Greg Maddux all the time and how one pitch doesn't necessarily mean a lot to a sequence. One pitch may set up the next pitch, and I think that was the case right here with Jason Marquis. He tried to go in with a fastball right there. Probably going to come back with that slider low and away.
Here it is. Got him.
Down the middle.
First out of the inning.
Well, what I said right there is a perfect example of what happens to a hitter sometimes. You can overthink an at bat. He got me to chase a slider off the plate low and away my first at bat. I chased another one here in this at bat. He just missed inside with a fastball. He's probably going to come back with that slider away, and then you get frozen looking at a fastball right down the middle of the plate. You just have to see the pitch and react to it.
And now Cedeno will be intentionally walked. They're going to go after Greg Maddux with the bases loaded and 1 out. Had a situation the other night with the bases loaded in extras, and a pitcher, Josh Hancock, didn't swing because the Cardinals didn't want him to hit into a double play. It's not going to be the case with Greg Maddux. So bases full of Cubs, and while we have a moment, let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN.
Time is of the essence. Don't miss a minute of the critically acclaimed 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. Tonight at 8 Eastern on Superstation WGN.
Well, the Cubs lead 4-3. They have the edge for the second time today. Maddux is the 8th hitter of the inning. Two RBIs on the year. A 1-0 pitch is a bouncer. Maddux hustling. He will be thrown out at first. Good news is no double play, and he gets his 3rd RBI of the year. 5-3.
Well, nicely done. Mad Dog goes down, gets his sinker, just a high hopper off the plate. By the time David Eckstein gets to it, he has only one play to go across the dime. It almost makes a low throw over there to Jim Edmonds. Eckstein might have thrown the best sinker of the day for a Cardinal. Ball had some serious dive to it.
So 3rd inning and 3rd at bat for the Cubs leadoff man, Juan Pierre. And the pitch. High pop fly out into left. Timo Perez squeezes. Cubs are done. A very productive inning. 4 runs on 5 hits. They lead 5-3. Taguchi with a bounding ball foul to Jose the secret weapon Oquendo. 5-3 Cubs. Six hits for the Cubs, 2 for the Cardinals. Wind and the 1-1. Fly ball to left. And it's Matt Merton with a catch. On Tuesday, June 13th, watch the Cubs play the Astros at 7:05. The first 20,000 fans will receive a scratch and win card. 500 random winners will get an authentic Greg Maddux autograph on a Rawlings official baseball. Compliments of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. For complete rules, visit Cubs.com.
That signature looks like shorthand. I can't get over that. And it hasn't changed over the years. I got a Greg Maddux autographed baseball at home that I got back in, geez, I think it was 1989 or 1990, and it was the same signature.
He's got it down after 20 years.
He signed a few baseballs in his career.
Now we would assume that Maddux knows that Scott Rowland is 5 for 5 with 4 doubles against him this year. Maddux has not gotten him out. Two and 1. It's always interesting when a guy goes into the Hall of Fame, you have to add those letters, HOF, and the year. Takes a little longer to sign autographs. Rolen has not done it again. It's foul. How about that, though? 5 for 5 with 4 doubles. Almost had his 6th hit against Maddox.
Now this follows a streak, however, where Scott Rowland was 0 for 11 with a double play against Greg Maddux. So the ebb and flow of the individual matchup between Maddux and Scott Rowland right now in favor of Scott Rowland, but could change at any moment. There it is.
6-3 ground out. Seven straight sent down by Maddux.
You know, and that's not unusual for Greg Maddux, for somebody to have a short period of success against him. You know, we get our batter pitcher matchups every day, and they list the last 20 at bats that a hitter's had against a specific pitcher, and it's not unusual to look at Maddux and see a guy have 3 or 4 or 5 hits in a row against him, and then there'll be a long drought.
And Pierre just didn't get a good look at that floater out towards center. So Edmonds is on for the second time. And I think Pierre is looking at the scoreboard to see a replay and find out where that ball was, but he just didn't get a very good jump on it.
It's that same story. When you have a big power hitter at the plate and he takes a full swing at the ball, you have to respect that as an outfielder. And that time Edmonds hit the ball off the end of the bat, didn't get the kind of carry that Juan Pierre was expecting, and unfortunately drops in front for a base hit.
I mean, a guy will generally drift toward where the ball is going to land, but when they know exactly where it's going to be, that's when they really take off, and Pierre never did that. Bounced foul. Try to call our producer Pete Toma last night?
I tried, yeah.
But you didn't get a hold of him, did you?
No.
Well, the tragic BlackBerry incident, and he was unreachable last night. It went through the washer, a pair of shorts. We're told it was a delicate cycle, but that still didn't help. Oh. That's rough. It was a fairly new purchase. Curveball inside. Well, you have to live without cell phone and internet access at all times. I don't know how he's going to do it for the next couple of days.
I saw he had 2 cans of soup and about 100 yards of string in his backpack this morning, so I think he's found a solution.
Encarnacion pops it up way out in front of that pitch at 70 from Maddux. Cedeno with a catch. It is 5-3 Cubs as we go to the 4th. Everybody dance. (5-3) as the Cubs bat here in the 4th inning. Strike 1 on Tony Womack. The news keeps getting worse for Pete Toma, our producer. He has a cracked rib to boot. A workout injury, but he is not on the DL. He's with us today.
Day to day. That's what happens when guys have off days. Bad things happen. You just keep your nose to the grindstone and show up and grind every day.
Womack skies one foul. What was the song? Too Much Time in My Hands. Barrett on deck. Left center. Taguchi with a catch. And it'll bring up Michael Barrett. A walk, a single, and a run. Cubs right now 10 under, 22 and 32. Trying to creep back into contention. It's going to take a while. But a sweep here would certainly help. That's a strike. Too much time on my hands. That's right. Sticks. Ground ball, and it's Eckstein over to his left. Got a nice hop at the end. 2 up, 2 down. Too much time on my hands. It's ticking away with my sanity.
All very true for Pete Toma.
Sticks from Chicago, so it's always a nice connection. We try to make those connections where we can. Strike on Todd Walker.
You know, we had that shot of Derek Lee over in the Cubs dugout, and you mentioned he took some ground balls at first base yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk to him today, but I bet he's got some soreness in muscles he forgot he had.
Which is a good thing.
Well, which is a real good thing. But after not being able to put on a glove and get out on the field and take ground balls and do baseball related activities, he's going to have some sore muscles.
And if you missed it the other night, Derek recently had dinner at the White House with the president. It was when the Cubs were in Florida. So everybody took notice of the year he had last year, including the president. Wanted to talk some baseball with him. You know, I didn't ask what they had for dinner. We'll have to ask him later. Doesn't really matter, though, does it? You go to the White House, you just eat whatever they give you. 1-2 on Todd Walker. The pitch, it is low. We got a nice picture from the White House. The president's visit in Cincinnati, and he stopped by to say hi to you. And we, of course, all jumped in to get in on the picture.
Now, I wonder if there's pizza places that deliver to the White House.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are. It's in the White House. They have their own pizza place.
I guess you're right.
And Timo Perez plays that one on the hop. So Todd Walker 2 for 2 and has reached all 3 times. Seven hits for the Cubs against Marquee, who still has yet to work a 1-2-3 inning.
Ramos Ramirez making his way to the plate 2 for 2 on the afternoon. 2 soft liners. Hasn't really squared it up yet against Jason Marquee, but he's done some damage. A couple of RBIs, scored a run of his own.
Still more balls than strikes for Marquee, and he's near 90 pitches. Cubs scored 7 runs against him. 4 were earned in 6 innings. And a game on the 23rd of April. He is 1-4 lifetime against the Cubs. ERA isn't bad, 3.66. There's that pitch count we were talking about. I guess Roy Oswalt was scratched a couple of minutes before his scheduled start today in Houston with back spasms. Cubs are not slated to face Oswalt or Andy Pettit in the upcoming series in Houston. Of course, they missed Chris Carpenter here, who's on the DL. They did not face Aaron Harang or Bronson Arroyo against the Reds. So the schedule these last 2 series and the one coming up has worked out well for the Cubs, and they have taken advantage thus far. But I don't know if Oswalt will end up pitching in that series after all. We'll see. Fly ball to right. And that'll do it for the Cubs. Encarnacion with a catch. It is 5-3. Greg Maddux looking for his 2nd straight win. The last one he got was his only win in May. And he's up 5-3. Bottom 4, a strike on Timo Perez. Fouled right at the plate. Boy, he came up big for the Mets in the NLCS in 2000 against St. Louis. Hit .304, scored 8 runs. Just reached out and sent it over Womack. So he's aboard to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. Don't miss your opportunity to leave your mark through the Wrigley Field Commemorative Paver Program. Order a personalized engraved brick paver which will be installed on the Wrigley Field campus prior to the 2007 season. All orders come with a replica brick for your home or office. For complete details, visit Cubs.com or call 800-851-6846.
Maddux with a throw to first to chase Perez back to the bag. I have to believe the Cardinals are going to be very aggressive on the bases, even though they trail by a couple of runs in this ball game. That's always been the plan of attack against Greg Maddux. When you get guys on base, especially those guys who can run a little bit, put some pressure on. That's something Tony La Russa is going to have to do a little more of than he has in the early part of this season without Albert Pujols in the lineup. Find ways to manufacture and generate offense with the fast guys that he has.
Bennett is 0 for his last 16. Pitch. He just snapped it. 2 men on.
Well, the comebacker that just does get by Maddux into center field here. Just a bit tardy getting that glove up. Ball was hit pretty hard by Gary Bennett. Normally you would never see a sacrifice bunt from your number 8 hitter with the pitcher on deck. I doubt if we'll see one here either, but if there was ever a time to sacrifice your number 8 hitter to get the pitcher to the plate, it would be right here. Jason Marquis, very offensively talented pitcher.
Hit hard, what a play by Womack, and the Cubs will turn what ends up being an easy double play, but not an easy stab by Womack. 4-6-3, 2 down.
A nice adjustment by Tony Womack on a hard hit 1 hopper. That ball took a big hop. He's able to come up with the glove while he's turning his body. That's the key to making that such an easy double play. Not only did he make the play, but he had his body turned so he was ready to make the throw to second base when he did finally get the ball.
Marquis slaps one on the ground. Womack will take care of it. Nice job to get out of the inning. It is still 5-3 Cubs.
So he's saying, see what I did out there? High five to Chris Spire. I think that's because Spire might have moved Tony just a little bit right before that pitch was thrown. A lot of times you're not aware of it. Usually a position player will move as a player is getting into the batter's box. You look into the bench to see where they want you to move, but sometimes it'll change from pitch to pitch as the at-bat goes on.
The 0-1 to Jones. Ground ball and a busted bat. Experience Cubs baseball from the private comfort of the batter's eye in center field. The batter's eye offers a spectacular view and catered service for groups of 75 to 100 people, and is the latest addition to beautiful Wrigley Field. It's also available for non-game day functions. To book your date, call 773-404-CUBS. Have you seen any bugs in the booth? We had some nasty critters in here before the ball game today.
You warned me about it, so I've been keeping a close eye out.
Stink bugs is what I was told they're called. I don't know if that's the official name, but they're kind of green, and you don't want to mess with them. Swing and a miss, and Merton strikes out. 2 down here in the 5th inning. Now Ross, one of our audio guys, gave me the scoop. So just be careful where you reach in the booth.
Stink bugs.
Yeah, I guess if you touch them, they leave an odor.
I played a summer in Shreveport, Louisiana in Double-A, and we had to shake out our clothing and shoes every day to get the scorpions out of them. So, used to searching for critters.
Taguchi going back on this one. He won't get it. Cedeno taking a look at it. He is going to stop at second. That's a double, and Ronnie's career high hitting streak continues. It's at 9 and counting.
Ronnie hit that ball hard, kind of fooled Taguchi a little bit in center field. He took a real shallow line to his right and then had to retreat. You see him there. He initially started to go straight across and then had to turn and go back to the warning track. Ronnie wisely stopped at second base. He may have been able to make it to third, but the rule of thumb is you better make it standing up. And Taguchi, with a strong throwing arm, got rid of that ball quickly once he got to it.
Greg with his 3rd RBI of the year, for 77 in his career, on a ground out in the 3rd inning. It came with the bases loaded and 1 out. I'm not saying he tried to hit the ball softly, but of course if he hits that ball hard, that's an inning-ending double play. But he's so good, he's so savvy, it makes you wonder if he just took a little something off that little dribbler to short.
Yeah, I'll give him credit for a lot when he's on the mound, but not when he's swinging the bat.
Fair enough.
I think it was just a coincidence, but it worked.
Marquis with a 1-1. Big swing by Maddox that time. He is over 100 pitches here in the 5th inning. Friday night really killed both teams' bullpens. One of those nights that will affect you for several days. And yesterday, give a ton of credit to Roberto Novoa. He gave the Cubs 3 scoreless innings and also picked up his first career hit, an RBI double. Bob Howry got his first save with the Cubs this year. And unfortunately, Scott Williamson had to leave in the 9th with that forearm/elbow injury that put him on the DL. Maddox strikes out. 5-3 Cubs.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN, your official summer baseball station, is brought to you by refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Cubs trying to sweep the Cardinals here in St. Louis. First pitch strike, bottom 5, 5-3. We don't know how long Albert Pujols will be out. But based on what he's done early on, I mean, nobody's been more important to his team than Albert Pujols, although the Cubs could claim Derek Lee is certainly in that category. Cubs were over 500 when he went down. And right now they're 10 under.
The Cub fans can only hope that the loss of Albert Pujols has a similar effect on the Cardinals as it did on the Cubs when they lost Derek Lee.
Next time with a liner, but it's caught by Womack.
Yeah, Albert Pujols has either scored or driven in 34% of the Cardinals' runs this year. Ouch! Took the big swing, striking out in his first at bat of the ball game, and then chasing the little foul pop-up off the bat of Aramis Ramirez. Pulled up short, grabbed his right lower back. Did stay in the game defensively to finish the inning, but then immediately went into the Cardinals clubhouse, was taken out of the ball game, and placed on the disabled list before the game today.
So he'll be out at least 15 days. He was going to be reevaluated today. And that'll get into center. So Taguchi is on.
You know, it's kind of funny the trickle-down effect that an injury will have on a ball club. Albert Pujols, their first baseman, goes down, which figures to make more playing time for So Taguchi, an outfielder. Jim Edmonds, at least temporarily, is going to move in to play first base, which opens center field for So Taguchi, and he's been a big part of this Cardinals offense as a part-time player. Now will get an opportunity to either excel or get exposed, one or the other.
Runner at first with one out. Scott Rowland, the batter. There he goes. Michael's throw actually hit Taguchi, and he'll get third base. If there's an error on the throw, it's a very tough one, allowing Taguchi to go to third.
Boy, a great jump once again. A big lead and a great jump by So Taguchi. You see his slide into second base. Looked like it hit Taguchi on the right leg and just ricocheted out into shallow left field. Ronnie had broken over there to back up the play, and nobody home.
A tough error on Michael, whose throw is right on the base, but it hit the runner. And Rowland will knock him in with a single. 5-4. That error by Barrett, the first for the Cubs in this series.
Boy, I agree with that. That's a tough error right there. You make a perfect throw right on base. Just coincidentally, the runner is sliding in at exactly that same time, and the ball hits him and ricochets away far enough for him to advance. Once again, screaming out for that category of a team error. Michael shouldn't be penalized for making a perfect throw.
Edmonds goes deep to right. Jones is going to have to play it off the wall. Edmonds is going to cruise into second. Rolling toward the plate. The relay throw. Tardy. 5-5. Well, he can't run very well, but he sure can hit. And Jim Edmonds has had a big day. 2 for 2 with a walk. And he ties the game with an RBI double.
Now, Jim Edmonds is a guy, because of his swing, has probably lost a lot of home runs in his career. He's got that big uppercut swing, and occasionally he'll hit balls that look like they're headed out of the ballpark, but because of the topspin, they stay in the yard. I think that was the case on that ball, hit to right field. A lot of top spin, hit about in the middle of the fence out there, and finds himself on second base, and we have a tie ball game.
Back-to-back hits to start this inning. And a pitch to Encarnacion is low. Five here in the fifth. Driven to left. Merton can't get it. Edmonds didn't know, and he still will score anyway. He stopped just before he got to third. I think Edmonds thought Merton had caught it, but it got over the Cubs left fielder, and it's now 6-5.
David Arzma beginning to throw in the Cubs bullpen as you get another look at Juan Encarnacion with his second laser beam line drive into left field in this ball game. Much like the first one, just accelerates, gets over the head of Matt Merton. He just misses with that stretching attempt there. You saw Edmonds stop right before third base and then cruises on into home.
Just like that, the Cardinals lead. So each team has led twice. As a hard-throwing Artsman gets ready quickly. Pitch to Timo Perez. It was a little off the plate, but it's like he almost ducked into that pitch.
Very much like he ducked into that breaking ball that hit him on the helmet the other night.
That was up. Not off the plate that much. That was on the plate, 1-1. Two-run scoring doubles for Encarnacion. Popped up. Shallow left center for Merton. 2 away. It'll bring up Gary Bennett, catcher. Third time in the last 4 starts, Greg Maddux has given up 6 runs. Still fairly efficient with a pitch count. Nine hits on the day for the Cardinals. Cubs have 8. We have not seen a home run. But it's 6-5 here in the 5th inning. Looks like Artsma's ready if needed.
Talked about the radar gun here at New Busch Stadium on Friday night. Artsma hit 102 on the gun here at the stadium, 101 on our gun on television. I'm not quite so sure he was throwing that hard. He was real firm, probably in the high 90s, but 102 maybe a little bit of an exaggeration.
It goes 3-1 on the putout. Bennett out. Cardinals done. They get 3 and they lead by 1. Time to check out today's Honda Ridgeline game summary. Aramis Ramirez was 6 knocked in the series. Tony Womack with a couple of runs today. Scott Rowland's knocked in 2. A season high 5 walks for Jason Marquis. Honda Ridgeline, the 2006 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. See it today at your Honda dealer. Let's look at a couple of pitch locations.
Not bad. Just above the knees, outside corner. That one's right down the middle of the plate. However, for Jim Edmonds, a guy that really relies on extension to do damage. Encarnacion with great extension on his second rocket line drive into left field during the ball game.
Left-hander Randy Flores is in for the Cardinals here in the 6th. So Jason Marquis battled all day with his command, but he has a chance for a win. Long way to go. After Pierre, Womack, and then Barrett for the Cubs. Cornermen in, including Jim Edmonds at first base. 40th career start for Edmonds. Going back to 01, just one previous start. That was in 04. Made 2 starts in 01, 6 in 2000. Pretty spread out for a guy who normally plays center field. In the hole, and Pierre's going to reach on an infield hit. Top of the hour. Let's pause for station identification.
This is America's home for sports all year round. Superstation WGN.
Pierre is on. Womack at the plate. The pitch. Tony quickly showed bunt, took a ball. Well, it'd be nice to see the Cubs come right back and answer after the Cardinals scored 3 to take the lead. Bunted toward third, backhanded by Rowland. And he gets Womack.
Rowland felt like he couldn't take a chance on letting that ball roll on down the third baseline. It appeared it might go into foul territory, but it was bunted so hard and bouncing that Rowland figured he better go ahead and make the play and get an out. If he lets that ball go and it stays fair, there's nobody behind him. It rolls out into shallow left field, and Pierre easily comes around to third base. So split-second decision by Scott Rowland and gets the out at first base.
It is a sacrifice. So Pierre at second, and it's Michael Barrett. 6-5 St. Louis. We're in the 6th inning. Say hi to big Cub fans in Lowell, Indiana. Joe, Jessica, and John Starcevich watching today. One and one. Happy 85th birthday to our good friend, longtime Cubs equipment man, Yosh Kawano, celebrating in Chicago, along with his family, Billy Williams. Golfer Ray Floyd hanging with Yosh. So happy 85th, Yosh. 1-1. Michael hits it hard, but he hooked it out of play. Well, if you figure out or lose your ticket stub, try to figure out where you're sitting, it's next to the guy wearing red. It doesn't really work.
That's a common joke that you play on a youngster his first trip into St. Louis. Hey, look at that pretty girl up there. Where? Oh, she's got the red hat on. Well, 30,000 people here with red hats on today. That one in at Wrigley Field, after a close play on the field, you tell the youngster, watch the replay, and they'll always look up at the scoreboard expecting to watch a replay, and of course there is no replay board at Wrigley Field.
Boy, you're mean.
Well, you know, part of the indoctrination process of young players.
Okay, young, yeah. You don't mean youngsters like that?
No.
Okay.
No. Although they'd bite too. Look at the replay.
In the dirt.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. That's one thing that I really enjoy about Wrigley Field is the time between innings. Every ballpark we go to is they're constantly bombarded by between inning information and highlights and commercials and advertisements, and at Wrigley you take that time to talk to the guy sitting next to you, see who's coming up for the other team. Geez, do you think we can get one more inning out of Maddox? You talk baseball. You're not being constantly entertained by the big screen.
Check out how your stocks are doing. Barrett swings and misses, and Bennett will throw to first. Cubs battle the Tigers coming up 1:20 on Sunday, June 18th. The first 20,000 will receive a scratch and win card. 100 random winners will get an authentic autographed Ron Santos Schutt Sports official MLB base, compliments of Chevrolet. Fans are encouraged to hold on to their cards for second chance drawings throughout the game. For complete rules, visit Cubs.com. Ron's still under the weather and resting back home in Chicago. And, Dave Otto filling in this weekend on radio along with Pat Hughes and Andy Mazer. And Ron, we hope you're doing well. We hope the Cubs play this weekend has helped you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, we sure miss you, big guy. First time Dave Otto's ever been asked to pinch hit for anybody.
Yeah. Right back at Flores. Caught it clean. Walker out. Hit it hard. But he lines out to the pitcher. Promising start to the inning. Boy, if this ball gets into center, it's a tie game. As it is, it's still 6-5. Hey, Dire Straits fans, Mark Knopfler with special guest Emmylou Harris performs at the Charter One Pavilion on June 25th thanks to the Bud Light Concert Series. Don't miss it. You can get tickets through Ticketmaster. Go online to Ticketmaster.com or call 312-559-1212. Here's David Artsma facing Hector Luna. Boy, it's very soothing, isn't it? Mark Knopfler. 6-5 St. Louis, bottom 6. Greg Maddux went 5, as did Jason Marquis. Ground ball to Womack. We're going to see Chris Duncan. Just got the call up today.
Your attention, please, for the
Duncan
Cardinals.
put on quite a display in batting practice today. Big time power all around the ballpark. He was a first baseman by trade, but in the Cardinals organization, if you're a first baseman that can hit a little bit, you better find yourself another position. So Chris Duncan's been playing a lot of outfield in the minor leagues before his recall today.
Made his debut last year. Four previous games here in 06. Chris Duncan, a homer and 3 RBIs. Outside corner for a strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes. one is dropped by Ramirez, and Duncan is on. Tough play. Ramirez did get a glove on it. We'll see how they score it. It's a hit.
Late swing by Duncan just to protect the plate. Hits a one-hopper down there to Rami, a couple steps to his left. Took a big hop, a lot bigger hop than Aramis was expecting. Hit him on the wrist and bounces to Ronnie Cedeno, but no chance to get Duncan at first base after the misplay.
Now this is not a leading question. By asking this question, I'm not giving you my opinion. But do you have an issue with interleague play for this reason? The rivalry, the rival series the Cardinals have is against Kansas City. Kansas City started the day 13-40. So they play 6 times against the Royals. The Cubs play 6 games against the Chicago White Sox. Duncan runs and Eckstein taps it foul. Cardinals did sweep the Royals earlier this year. Do you have a problem with that? It does affect, I guess, the strength of schedule when you have 6 against your natural rival.
Oh, sure, and you know, it would seem to be an imbalance built into interleague play, but I don't know how you get around it.
I agree. I think it's kind of the luck of the draw. If you'd like to chime in, it's WGN Cubs TV booth at AOL.com. Yeah, the schedule makers can't say, well, I don't think Kansas City is going to be very good this year, so that's not really fair. And we both seem to agree that Cubs White Sox is a good thing. One and 2 on Eckstein. And on a man out here in the 6th. Arizona beat Atlanta again. 9-3 the final. They swept them in a doubleheader yesterday. Diamondbacks have won 4 in a row. And Atlanta is now under 500 for their 4th consecutive loss.
Big day yesterday for Damian Easley in the 2nd game of that doubleheader. 3 home runs in Atlanta, a ballpark that's not real conducive to the long ball.
Short center. Pierre will lay out. It just gets out of his glove. Duncan will be able to get to second. But JP is all right. He left the glove on the turf.
Well, we've seen entirely too much of that from outfielders this year, attempting diving catches and rolling over on that glove wrist. Little floater hit by Eckstein. You could see that glove come out the backside there when he hit the grass. The leather just kind of bit into the grass and pulled his wrist way back.
He says he's okay, but didn't feel too good. Taguchi with a base hit. Duncan being set by Oquendo. Should be a play at the plate, but the throw is offline. Gets past Aardsma, and Taguchi moves up to second. Another extra base had by an opposing team. Looked like Jock would have had a play. 7-5.
Well, he's certainly shallow enough for a play at home plate. He may not have had a good grip on that baseball because it cut way up the 3rd baseline. You can see that ball was a good 10 or 12 feet up the 3rd base line, gets past Michael Barrett. Fortunately, David Aardsma backing up the play, but Taguchi still advances from 1st to 2nd on the throw that got away at home plate.
So an RBI single for Taguchi, an error on Jones allowing Taguchi to get to second. Infield in, Scott Rowland hits it foul.
Well, either they have readjusted the gun here at Busch Stadium, or David Aardsma has lost about 8 miles an hour off his fastball since Friday night. He's hit 94 a couple of times. I mentioned on Friday night they had him at 102 here on the gun at Busch Stadium. There's always differences between one gun and another. You'll see the readings that we have on our screen from time to time, and some of them are the same as the readings here at Busch, but the gun is very hot here.
Maybe it's in the sun. Well, the other night, though, it wasn't. It was really hot, as you mentioned.
88-mile-an-hour cut fastball on the inside part of the plate. Freezes Scott Rowland. Not sure where that one missed.
Two. High fly, medium depth out in right center. Pierre makes a catch, but he had to really reach over to get it. Sac fly for Rowland. I think it was deep enough to get the run in anyway, and of course Pierre doesn't have a great arm out there, and I don't know if he was thinking about throwing home, but because he had to reach, he couldn't even throw it to home, had to throw toward third.
It looked like Jock Jones was trying to call off Juan Pierre, and at the last second Pierre had to reach way across his body to make the play, battling the sun up there, and then, as you mentioned, not enough arm to throw flat-footed onto third base to get the tagging Taguchi.
Well, Aardsma is done. For the left-handed hitting Jim Edmonds coming up. It'll be southpaw Will Oman. We'll be back 8-5. Hey, Pod Fathers, don't forget to check out our baseball podcast available at WGNTV.com. We have a new podcast up and running. Look for Len and Bob's blog on the left-hand side of our site, WGNTV.com. Click, download, play, and of course, enjoy. Jim Edmonds, first pitch swinging, and Cedeno can't get it. And Edmonds with his third hit. So Rowland and Edmonds have really picked up the slack today, with Albert Pujols going to the DL. They have combined for 5 RBIs, 9-5.
It's not much of a hit, but it'll work for the Cardinals. Little cue shot right off the very end of the bat. Cedeno tried to backpedal and get in position to make that catch, but just couldn't quite get up there high enough.
Boy, what happened the last 2 innings? Cubs were up 5-3. Seemed to be somewhat in command. Then they got to Maddox with 3 in the 5th. And Aardsma charged with 3 here in the 6th. And they're down 4. And the problem is you get into the Cardinal bullpen, which the Cubs have today. They have the best relief ERA in the majors, under 3. Numbers for Will Oman. Jammed in that time, and Encarnacion able to foul it off. Boy, what's going on with the Brewers? They're down big again. Trailing at home against Washington, 7-1 in the 7th. The Brewers have lost 7 in a row. Houston started the day having lost 3 straight. That's all good for the Cubs. This team's right ahead of them. The only team ahead of the Cubs that's not on a losing streak, the Cincinnati Reds, and they lead in Houston again 3-2 in the 8th. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Well, it all comes back to pitching, doesn't it?
Usually does. Pitching and defense.
Milwaukee came in 16th in the league in ERA, and their team earned run average a half run ahead of the 15th place team. That's Houston. Cubs will be in Houston tomorrow night. Ramirez over to Womack at second. Cardinals add 3. They lead by 4.
They're really biting today, Don.
It's all about the lure. Dude?
And I think it's about time.
Oh, they're really biting today, Zorek. Yeah, it's all about the lure.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Hey, dude, take my picture.
Now for our Bud Light fan cam. How about some Doobie Brothers on a Sunday from St. Louis? Another park, another Sunday. Pretty fitting fan cam selection today. This Sunday's park, the new Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Of course, that was the Doobie Brothers.
You're a fan? Is that out of your iPod?
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Well, it could have.
Hard throwing Adam Wainwright. Now pitching. We're in the 7th. Hit hard, but boy, Luna was positioned perfectly. Almost behind second base.
Well, much has been made about the Cardinals and their preparation to face an opposing team, and that ball's hit right over the mound, right to the second baseman. We've seen many shots of Dave Duncan over in that first base dugout with the notebooks laid open in front of him, where every hitter hits the ball in certain counts against certain types of pitching. That time the Cardinals had him played properly.
Wainwright's been nasty this year. High bouncer, foul.
It sounds like the plan for Adam Wainwright is to pitch out of the bullpen this year unless there is an urgent need for him to enter the rotation, but he's definitely part of the plans for next season as a starting pitcher.
Well, he has good length, as they say. 6'7", 205 pounds. It's going to be a long run, and Eckstein charging is going to drop fair. Jock Jones is at second base with a bloop double. His second two-base hit today. 10 on the year for Jones.
Pretty tough to play somebody right there. Little floater hit out into shallow left field close to the line. Nobody can get to it. A good hustle by Jock Jones out of the batter's box. He cruised easily into second base with a stand-up double. Yeah, his next at bat, if we see David Eckstein standing right there by the foul line in shallow left field, we'll know the Cardinals are on to something.
Merton trying to get something going today. Empty in 3 tries. 0 for 3. Half swing strike.
Boy, and you know very well, Len, I'm a big Matt Merton fan, but he has really looked lost at the plate the last couple of ball games, specifically today. Swinging at bad pitches, taking good pitches, check swings. It just looks like he's got a little bit too much going on in his mind right now.
And when that happens, it's 0-2 every time you come up, it seems.
Good over-the-top curveball from Wainwright right here. Starts at the shoulders, ends up at the knees. That's a nasty yacker right there. Matt spends as much time as anybody on that Cubs roster in the batting cage every day. Early before the ball game, hitting off tees, some soft toss work, some extra batting practice, then regular batting practice before the ball game. Many times the adjustment that needs to be made isn't a physical one. Between the ears. Try to realize what opposing teams are doing to you and then figure out how you're going to counter attack that.
Foul tip strikeout. July 9th, the second annual Hey Dad Want to Have a Catch event takes place at Wrigley Field. WGN-TV, Fidelity Investments, and the Cubs offer this unique chance to treat your dad to a game of catch on the Wrigley Field turf. It would make a great Father's Day. Tickets are on sale now. Call 773-404-CUBS for more information. Proceeds benefit Cubs Care, a fund of the McCormick Tribune Foundation. Would make a great Father's Day gift, which is coming up in a couple of weeks.
But don't wait till then to be nice to Dad.
Ronnie Cedeno, base hit in the center. Jones coming around, and the deficit is now 3. 16th ribby for Cedeno. 9-6.
Ronnie Cedeno with his second hit of the ball game, right back up the middle of the field on a nasty curveball out away from him. Hit it off the end of the bat, but got just enough to get it up the middle. Jock Jones scoring easily. And now John Mabry will be the pinch hitter. Gets a nice round of applause here at Busch Stadium.
Ronnie's hitting a cool .500 against the Cardinals here in 06. Cubs went 7-22 in May, but they have begun June 2-0. One and one on Mabry, or Mabes. Pierre on deck. We've talked about nicknames before. There just aren't a lot of guys you call them by their first name in a big league clubhouse. I don't know the last time I called Juan Pierre Juan. As Carlos Marmol gets ready for what would be his big league debut.
Not as many good nicknames as there used to be either. Usually it's some shortening of the last name. Mabes.
Stays alive.
Got a manager in AAA named Maki Bridges. Great baseball character, lifetime baseball guy, and he was awesome at inventing nicknames for players. I don't even want to start this until we see what happens this at bat, because it makes me chuckle even to this day. We had a pitcher by the name of Mark Calvert, who was a two-time state of Oklahoma wrestling champion, had huge, broad shoulders. And Rocky used to call him Shampoo. We could never figure out why. We finally asked him one day and says because he's all head and shoulders.
Nice. Swing and a miss. And a strikeout. Well, here, of course, in St. Louis, it's Stan the Man. Cubs get a run. It's 9-6. Gorgeous day here in St. Louis.
The young man that was involved in the scuffle last time is on probation.
Suspended from further action. Well, another big league debut on the mound for the Chicago Cubs here in 2006. 23-year-old right-hander Carlos Marmol, who was signed originally by the Cubs in 1999 out of the Dominican Republic. He was starting at AA West 10. I know you talked with Cubs pitching coach Larry Rothschild today about Marmol, who is 6'2", 180 pounds.
It features a fastball, a slurvy breaking ball, and a straight changeup. Hopefully he'll be able to come in here and throw strikes. Those butterflies are always something that a young pitcher is going to have to overcome in his first couple of outings at the major league level. Working his way through the bottom of the Cardinals lineup. It's a good thing. Not that it's ever easy. Everybody with a bat in their hands is dangerous, but perhaps a little easier coming in facing the bottom of this Cardinals order rather than facing the middle of the order.
First pitch strike. Timo Perez. He's here, Marmol, because Scott Williamson was put on the DL today. Chopped to shortstop. And we should note that while Scott Williamson's going to get checked out by Dr. Kremchek back in Cincinnati, it might not be an injury that really would have been a 2-week injury, but the Cubs could not go with a guy who was unavailable for several days. And he felt it on a forkball in the 9th inning yesterday, and you don't want to take any chances with a guy who's already had 2 Tommy John surgeries. They are calling it right lateral epicondylitis. EPICONDYLITIS. That's the official diagnosis at the moment, at least for the press release. So his arm was sore.
Yeah, basically that's it. And you mentioned it earlier. The good news is it doesn't appear to be related to his past Tommy John surgeries, which were on the inside of the right elbow. This is more similar to what Carlos Zambrano had on the outside of his elbow.
I mean, what is that like for a guy, especially a guy who's gone through 2 reconstructions, to feel anything near his elbow?
Well, I mean, a lot of times a guy knows his body, and once you've been through a couple of surgeries, you know exactly what's wrong with your arm or your knee or whatever the joint may happen to be. You know exactly what's wrong as soon as you feel the discomfort. But in this case, I think Scott was caught a little by surprise because it was on the outside of the elbow, a different location from where he's had problems in the past. Yeah, after you've had enough of them, you can tell the doctor. I have a slight tear on the inside of my cartilage on my left knee.
Gary Bennett's 2 for 4. We were talking the other day. You had a standing appointment, right? After every season in the middle of your career.
24 hours after the last out of the last game of the season, I was under anesthesia.
Yeah, he knew at this point that he was done.
Like I said, you know your own body, and certainly all these guys pitch with a certain degree of pain. It's such an unnatural motion for the human body to throw a baseball overhand. Todd Walker runs out of room on that foul ball down the right side, and when you feel something out of the ordinary and it's a pain you haven't felt before, that's when the red flags really start waving. If it's a pain you've had before, okay, I know what that is. I can pitch through this. But when it's something different, something new, that's always concerning to a professional athlete.
Kick in the 0-1. Got his attention. 96. On a fastball is Luna. He was sent to the dirt.
Certainly don't think this was intentional, but for future reference, don't lean out over the plate, Hector Luna. Pitching coaches don't mind seeing that once in a while from a young pitcher. Just establish that you're not going to let guys dig in. And he comes back with a breaking ball that had Luna knee buckling up there at the plate. If he was able to throw that for a strike, he'd have jumped ahead in the count.
Big cut that time. Well, let's see. Think about guys who've made their major league debut on the mound for the Cubs this year. Sean Marshall, Angel Guzman, JKU, and now Carlos Marmol. I think I got all of them. Two-two pitch and first career strikeout for Marmol. And Gilbert tossed the ball toward the Cub dugout.
Good late life on this high fastball, mid to upper 90s. Just blew it right by Hector Luna. I think he got that kind of a defensive swing partially because of the pitch that he threw up and in 2 pitches before.
That's the first strikeout for Cubs pitchers today. As Larry Bigby digs in. Pinch hitter. Where's our buddy out in Denver? The Rockies PA announcer would say, Larry Bigby. And we'll never get to hear him say, Larry Walker. Outside. 2-0. His name is Kelly Burnham.
We're talking about the Rockies. How about their pitching staff? They've given up the fewest home runs in the league. They've given up only 40 home runs this year. Florida is next. They've surrendered 50 home runs. That's a remarkable number for a Colorado Rockies pitching staff, pitching half of their games at Coors Field.
Nice breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah, they had such great success with putting the baseballs in the humidifier last year that this year they're just using rolled up tube socks. So that's why there's no home runs being hit at Coors Field, at least not at the rate we're used to.
Yeah, it really has changed there over the last couple of years. I think the fact that a lot of their pitching staff is homegrown has really helped, because those guys, they have to go through Colorado Springs. So they're pitching at elevation before they even reach the major leagues. Bennett running on a 3-2 with 2 outs. Nasty breaker from Carlos Marmol in his big league debut. A scoreless 7th inning with 2 strikeouts. Tyler Johnson is on. So is Juan Pierre. Leading off the 8th inning, the Cubs trail by 3. Sox were blown out at home today. Texas 10, White Sox 2, a final. Hector Luna is now in left. And Aaron Miles comes in and plays second. I guess they were playing a game of musical chairs on defense, and the music ran out. Timo Perez had no place to sit, so he's done. Carlos Marmol with 2 strikeouts. Looked pretty comfortable out there in his first big league inning. Fouled away. .25 hits, 15 runs combined. Two-two. We've noted this before, but going into the game today, Cubs offense had the fewest walks and the fewest strikeouts in the National League. They walked 5 times against Jason Marquis early on today. And they have struck out 8 times.
However, if you look a little beyond the numbers, 3 of those strikeouts came in the 9 spot and 3 came in Matt Merton's spot in the lineup. Michael Barrett did strike out in the 6th. Jock Jones struck out in the 1st. The other 6 strikeouts coming between Matt Merton and the 9 spot today.
Called strike 3, and Pierre is out.
After a series of slow breaking balls off the plate away, Johnson just sneaks a fastball by Pierre on the inside corner. You rarely see him take a called 3rd strike.
Caught the outside sliver, strike 1. Now you ate breakfast today, right?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
We had a late night dinner last night. It's about as late as you can eat here in St. Louis.
Any later and it would have been breakfast.
Yeah. Nice night out in the town. Swing and a miss. But Johnson has struck out the first 2 here in the 8th inning. We were able to watch the end of that game between the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. It'll be Dallas against Miami in the NBA Finals. So best of luck to Chicago native Dwayne Wade. That's right. We were at Mike Shannon's place. A little bigger than the old place.
And Mike was there last night. A number of the Cubs players were over there enjoying dinner.
Tony La Russa coming out. Going to make a change here in the 8th inning. So Johnson strikes out the only 2 he faces. It's 9-6 St. Louis. Another sellout here at New Busch Stadium, 45,753. Cubs have already clinched this series. First series loss here at home this year for the Cardinals, and they just opened about a week ago. That's those sections out and left. So that is added to the capacity.
Braden Looper pitched on Friday night in that extra inning ball game. Came in relief in that game of Tyler Johnson. Gave up a couple of base hits and a walk to load the bases, but then got a double play ball off the bat of Ronnie Cedeno.
Barrett bats with nobody on, 2 down here in the 8th. The foul poles have lost some weight. It's the last time we were here. pretty skinny now. They had to replace them because some fans were complaining that they couldn't see. Boy, they were big. Speaking of big, 5 for 8 for Michael against Braden Looper.
I think this pitching change is one of those moves that reinforces the reputation that Tony La Russa has for over-managing late in a ball game.
Barrett reaches on a 2-out single here in the 8th.
I mean, even if Michael Barrett goes up to the plate against Tyler Johnson, hits a solo home run, it's still a 2-run lead for the Cardinals, but he makes the move to play the percentages, get the right-handed pitcher on the right-handed hitter, even though Barrett had great career numbers against Looper. And continues him here. Fastball up and out over the plate. Michael's done a great job lately of using the whole field, going to the opposite field, especially with runners on first base. Now you got a right-handed pitcher on a left-handed hitter.
And Walker finds left. Tying run will come to the plate. And it's Aramis Ramirez. The Cubs saying thank you, Tony La Russa. Couldn't make contact against Tyler Johnson. A couple of guys who make good contact here in Womack. The Cubs play the Astros Wednesday, June 14th at 7:05. The first 20,000 fans will receive a scratch and win card. 100 random winners will get an authentic autographed Easton Aramis Ramirez baseball bat, compliments of Pepsi. For complete rules, visit Cubs.com. Top of the hour. Let's pause for station ID.
This is America's home for sports all year round. Superstation WGN.
Glenn and Bob with you today. Cubs had a couple of leads early, but St. Louis scored 6 runs combined in the 5th and 6th. Take a 4-run lead. Now it's 3. And with 2 outs in the 8th inning, a great chance for the Cubs.
I mentioned that Looper pitched 2/3 of an inning on Friday night, gave up 2 hits, one of them being a single by Aramis Ramirez.
Drives it to left, but not deep enough. Luna with a catch. And the inning comes to an end. A 2-out rally doesn't lead to any runs, however, 9-6. Well, while Fred Bird does his thing, the producer of Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports is Pete Toma. Our director, R. Fillmore Ellison. Mark Brady is our associate producer. The executive producer of WGN Sports, Bob Forwald. Thanks as well to our stage manager, Nancy Smith, our studio coordinator back at WGN, Jeff Carrier. It's Carlos Marmol in his 2nd inning. Remember, he was starting at AA West 10. So able to give the Cubs more than an inning. David Eckstein, a rainbow out toward left. Matt Burton with a catch. Great work by our entire crew here in St. Louis. Ken Samuel, Lindsey Polite with us here today. So Taguchi has scored 3 runs. Top of their order has done a lot of damage. Well, Eckstein not so much, but Taguchi with 3 runs and RBI. Roland 3 RBIs, 2 runs. Edmonds 3 for 3. 2 knocked in, and he scored twice. It's Tony Womack for the 2nd out.
If you're looking ahead to the top half of the 9th, it'll be Jock Jones, Matt Merton, and Ronnie Cedeno against the closer of the Cardinals, Jason Isringhausen. Been some adventures this year when Izzy takes the mound.
He blew the save the other night, even though there were unearned runs when Roland made the error. in the 9th inning. One. It's away from Barrett. 2 balls and a strike. Foul back our way. Had the left shoulder injury last year. Not hitting for as much home run power as normal, but certainly his batting average is healthy. Two and 2 on Roland. Called strike 3. Marmol with 2 scoreless innings, a hit, 3 strikeouts in his major league debut to the 9th, 9-6 St. Louis. Well, here's the NL save leader, Jason Isringhausen. Blew his 3rd save of the year on Friday with about 2 unearned runs. It is 9-6 Cardinals. Jones, Merton, and Cedeno to start the inning, and then if someone reaches a pinch hitter. And remember, the Cubs have Phil Nevin on their bench, so if you get a couple of guys on, you can bring a guy with home run power to the plate.
That's a nice addition to Dusty Baker's bench. Throughout the early part of the season, they really haven't had anybody to send up there in these kind of situations, where, as you mentioned, if you get a couple guys on base, a long ball could tie the game, and certainly Phil Nevin is a guy that can hit the long ball.
1-0 on Jock Jones. 2 for 4. Both hits doubles. And he's up to 306. This is the area with his batting average that he talked about when he signed with the Cubs. He wanted to get back to being a 300 hitter. Took him a while to get here after a slow start. 2-1.
Some boos here from the Cardinal faithful as Isringhausen fell behind 2-0 to Jock Jones. That's because he's walked 20 batters in 21 2/3 innings this year.
Jones' career high in batting average was 304 in 2003 with Minnesota. Then he hit 254 in 04, 249 last year. So he had 2 straight years he hit 300. Right on the button, 300 in 02. Inside. Full count.
We're talking to some scouts around baseball. They think that Isringhausen has really fallen in love with that cut fastball. It's a very good pitch, no question about it, but he's got a good 4-seamer and a good curveball. He just tends to rely on that cut fastball to excess, and it's a pitch that he doesn't always command well.
They're letting him have it here in St. Louis. And here's that at bat. It's been a rough day for Matt Merton, but if he can do something positive here, help his team at least have a chance to tie it, could be a very productive day.
Well, especially in a ball game like this, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Big knock right here would go a long way towards erasing the 3 strikeouts that Matt Merton had earlier in this game.
Matt can go to work. You're seeing a strike. Jones is running. 2-1. Well, why not if they're going to give it to you?
Isringhausen paying very little attention to Jock Jones over there at first base. Looked like he got a jump toward second before Isringhausen even started his delivery.
First steal for Jones. Takes away that force at second. Red hot Cedeno on deck. Ronnie has 7 hits in the series. First the 2-2 to Merton. Back to Isringhausen. Whoop Jones back to second. And then throws out Merton. He's 0 for 5.
Taking a big cut on the pitch before, a little bit more of a defensive swing here. Just hits a little tapper right back to Isringhausen. He checks on Jock Jones at second and then goes on to first for the easy out.
Well, it could have been a double play if Jones had not stolen second. It's Cedeno with Nevin on deck.
A big curveball from Jason Isringhausen. That used to be his signature pitch. You could count on seeing that at least once or twice every at bat, but as I mentioned before, the cut fastball has been the pitch he's relied on most this year.
Cubs have taken 6 of 8 from the Cardinals this year. Ultimately, these two teams have played 19 times. To Cedeno, and it will be foul. Looking at the flags in left center, they're blowing in. Not very hard. Another 1-2 pitch. Pop foul. Back behind the tarp.
Those things that doesn't always show up in the box score, but Ronnie Cedeno has an amazing ability to battle once he gets to 2 strikes. Fouls off borderline pitches, takes bad pitches. And we're seeing it here once again in this at bat. I say it all the time. You force that pitcher to continue to throw more pitches, you improve your chances on getting a mistake.
Isringhausen yet again. Got him that time, and Ronnie doesn't say a whole lot to umpires. Had a couple of choice words for Adam Dowdy.
Looked like a pretty good pitch. Bennett sets up on the inside corner. Isringhausen throws it to the outside corner, but looked like it caught plate at the knees.
So it's Phil Nevin. Started yesterday, hit a 2-run homer, went 1 for 5. 196 career home runs for Nevin. He was acquired from Texas on Wednesday for Jerry Hairston. Tying run still in the on-deck circle. It's not so much the home run you want here from Nevin. You just want him to get on.
Nevin's power is definitely to the opposite field, right center, around to the foul pole in right. Get one of those cutters out over the plate.
Sky high on the infield. It's Edmonds in foul territory, making the catch, and the Cardinals salvage a finale after the Cubs won Friday night and then again yesterday. Well, they're 1-0 with Albert Pujols on the DL. The Cubs do take 2 of 3. They've won 2 straight series. They'll head to Houston to start a set tomorrow night. The final score from St. Louis: the Cardinals 9, the Cubs 6. Our next telecast of Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports will be Tuesday night from Houston, 7 o'clock Central Time. Game 2 of the Cubs-Astros 3-game weekday set. We'll also have Wednesday's game at 1 o'clock right here on WGN as well. Once again, the final score from Busch Stadium: the Cardinals 9, the Cubs 6. So for my partner Bob Brenly, Pete Thomas, Skip Ellison, Mark Brady, and our entire crew, this is Len Casper inviting you to stay tuned. We'll have the Chevy Dealers 10th Inning Show next.
Chicago Cubs baseball, brought to you by Budweiser, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer. By the Illinois Lottery. No matter how you play, play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Chicago Cubs. And by Southwest Airlines. Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, Southwest can get you there with over 3,000 nonstop daily flights to over 60 destinations. Visit southwest.com today.